Folks, what's up? This is Michael in the wee hours of the night on the graveyard shift, coming back from a couple of days off, well rested with your daily trivia question. Yet, once again, I think today is the official start of summer. I think that's today. Yeah, so happy summer. Even though we've already been baking in 100-degree weather, it's officially summer now. So put your flip-flops on and get your shorts and t-shirt out and go to the beach and all that good stuff. Anyways, the answer to the previous trivia question was the United States Space Force. Space, of course, is the final frontier. The United States Space Force is the space service branch of the U.S. Armed Forces. It is considered the sister branch of the U.S. Air Force. The Space Force's chief serves as one of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the Space Force is the smallest U.S. armed service with only 8,400 military personnel. However, they operate 70 and manage 77 spacecraft. I thought that was some interesting statistics. That seems like a small amount of personnel and staff to operate such a huge space fleet. But anywho, the U.S. Space Force traces its roots actually to the beginning of the Cold War in the 1940s, in the mid-1945, somewhere around there, coming out of World War II, of course, as we ushered our way into the space race. Remember, we moved from Cold War, post-World War II, right, into the space race. So it was only natural that this idea was being kicked around from the beginning. The first discussions of creating a military space service occurred in 1958. Ronald Reagan, as you can imagine, considered the idea in the 1980s. Remember, he had the concept of Star Wars, which was a trivia question, by the way, if you're a frequent listener. There's not many frequent listeners. Elements of a Space Corps were considered again many times between 2007 and 2011 as Congress would begin to kick around acts, proposals, and bipartisan efforts to create this Space Force. Now, of course, President Trump signed a $738 billion defense spending bill on June 18th of 2018, thereby officially creating the Space Force. That was the focus of the trivia question. The U.S. Space Force lists as its mission to protect the interests of the United States in space, deter aggression in, from, and to space, and to conduct prompt and sustained space operations. They also protect our country's massive satellite fleet. There's a lot going on up there in outer space, for sure. So in 2020, the Space Force unveiled its motto, which is Semper Supra, is a Latin phrase that translates to always above. However, the Space Force in and of itself has not been without its criticism. In the 2 years since Trump signed off on the creation of the new service branch, a lot of policies and procedures still need to be established. They're still trying to pound this whole thing out, basically, from finalizing the official uniforms to creating Space Force's physical training standards. Some top officials have been quoted as saying, quote, "There doesn't seem to be a clear answer for when service members can expect updates from leadership." As well as other quotes from talking heads and news agencies that say that many of the delays in establishing rules and regulations for the Space Force simply boil down to good old-fashioned government bureaucracy. Can't come down too hard on them. The Space Force was created in the mid-2018 with plans to implement a whole bunch of stuff just as soon as the pandemic took off and halted pretty much everything. Then we had the 2020 election. Okay, so and then now we're approaching a recession. So our government's focus has been elsewhere, pretty much. So the Space Force is kind of at a standstill, if you will, but they're trying to get things sorted for sure. All right, folks, let's kick off the summer and continue with our week with the brand new trivia question for June 21st. On this day in 1973, the Supreme Court, yes, I'm going back to the Supreme Court, folks. I love this group. The Supreme Court establishes what would become known as the Miller test, which is a 3-part requirement for determining whether something is classified as this and therefore not protected under the First Amendment. Good luck, folks. Another First Amendment trivia question. Have a good day.